the moment, the latest stats from Rba, currently sitting at 330.
Solid performer in a challenging market.
Hi, Michaelkeil here. Today I'm with in-house economist Ryan Brady. We're going to look at the latest RBA minutes. We're going to discuss population and employment. Ryan, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, last week the RBA held their monthly board meeting here in Perth and the target cash rate was left on hold. This was no surprise and we've talked about this at length. However, the minutes of the meeting stated that conditions in WA had really improved, with real estate now in its strongest position for 3 years. Furthermore, business conditions had increased to be above historical averages, so that's good news.
Now Ryan, what were the negatives from the minutes?
Okay. It was noted in the meeting that the major issue facing WA is population growth, which is well below the national average. The major reason for migration is employment opportunities, so it becomes really important to analyse WA employment figures. We can see this grey line is our natural rate of growth, and we can see here that this tan line is our overseas net growth. Our overseas growth is made fairly constant apart from this high points during the boom, but it's our interstate which goes through positive and negative territory, and then we can see at the current levels it's down as low as it has been.
Now Ryan, looking at this, it looks like it may have bottomed, but why are people moving interstate and not staying in beautiful Perth?
Okay, what we need to do is compare employment opportunities here in WA compared to Australia. If we look quickly at our August employment figures and go back to July, we could see in July that we increased full-time jobs by 12,500 and decreased part-time employment by 15,500. However, our August figures showed that full-time employment only increased by 828 jobs and part-time employment increased by 3,401. So if we're comparing WA to Australia, we can see that WA and Australia both had a 0.3% employment growth. However, this is a bit misleading because they lump part-time and full-time employment in together. When we break it down, we can see that Australia's full-time employment increased by 300% compared to part-time employment. On the other hand, WA's part-time employment increased by 400% compared to full-time employment. Also, we've got an unemployment rate of 6.4%, while nationally we're at 5.3%. Part-time jobs won't lead to interstate migration.
Okay, so that is highlighted in why people are leaving WA at the moment.
That's right, and we can see that after the end of the boom, the arrivals hasn't really changed. It's been fairly consistent, but it's just departures that people are obviously having to leave the state in search of other employment opportunities.
Okay.
So what we're seeing is other states creating more jobs and having lower levels of unemployment. Therefore, people looking for work are more likely to find jobs in other states. This is leading to our net negative interstate migration.
And with that, Ryan, hence the real estate market has been flat for that reason.
Exactly right. Exactly right. If we look at the unemployment rate, we can see WA's unemployment rate has been on a steady increase for a while. And it's interesting to note that about the point where it overtakes Australia's unemployment rate, that's the same time we start getting negative net interstate migration. People start moving, looking for jobs.
No, fantastic.
Furthermore, if we then compare WA to the rest of the other states, we can see apart from Queensland, we've got a higher rate of unemployment than every other state. And it's also interesting to note that the two most populous states have the lowest level of unemployment. So what needs to happen? WA investment only increased by 0.1% annually to the June quarter. We need greater levels of business investment to create more jobs, and creating more jobs compared to the other states will lead to this positive net interstate migration, and this will place upward pressure on real estate prices. Furthermore, increased full-time employment leads to greater levels of consumption, which create more jobs, so it flows on. So what the state government has to do is look at policies which is going to create full-time employment.
Yeah. Now Ryan, looking at the bigger companies that are growing now, again in the Pilbara, That's obviously going to have a positive effect on employment and therefore a positive effect on real estate going forward.
That's right, and it's very easy to explain. When you get global GDP growth, you're going to get a greater demand for commodities. Increase in commodity prices will then increase investment, especially up north in the Pilbara. This increased investment creates employment, leading back to a positive net interstate migration, which then leads to higher property prices.
Now, that's a great summary. So Ryan, appreciate your time again. If you'd like to register for our newsletter, go to Michaelkeil.com and you can register for our e-newsletter online. Ryan writes the article. They're fantastic, so much great information. And if you're thinking of buying or selling, feel free to call the Michaelkeil.com team on 1300 522 000. Bye for now.